A few years ago, I reviewed Tom Holland's cult classic of a vampire film, Fright Night, from 1985. Now I'm going to review it again, but it's not a re-review of the cult classic. It's a review of the 2011 remake with Colin Farrell and the late great Anton Yelchin. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 2011 supernatural horror comedy flick Fright Night, released by Touchstone from Disney for DreamWorks. Directed by Craig Gillespie and produced by Michael DeLuca and Alison Rosenzweig, excuse me. It's a remake of the 1985 cult classic directed by Tom Holland, who of course would go on to direct the original Child's Play. The film's screenplay was adapted by Marty Noxon. The film stars Anton Yelchin, Colin Farrell, Toni Collette, Imogen Poots, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, and David Tennant. And of course, its story follows a teenage boy who discovers that his neighbor is actually a vampire, which culminates in a battle between the two. The film was released on August 19, 2011, with premiering just a few days before at the O2 in London. Charlie Brewster, a teenager living in a suburb of Las Vegas, and discovers that a new neighbor has moved in next door. His old best friend Edward Lee, that's of course Evil Ed to us, informs him that many students have gone missing, including their other childhood friend Adam Johnson. When Charlie goes home after school, his mother Jane introduces him to Jerry Dandridge, their new neighbor. Fed up and angry with Ed after he claims that Jerry is a vampire, Charlie tells him that he's crazy and that he does not want to be friends anymore. On his way home, Ed is confronted by Jerry, who claims that he has been watching Ed and has been aware of Ed watching him. Jerry soon chases Ed into a nearby pool and convinces him into believing that his life would be much better if he were a vampire. Ed succumbs and willingly allows Jerry to buy him. The next day, Charlie realizes that Ed is missing and decides to investigate, starting to believe Ed's claims when he discovers video recordings of objects moving on their own, with Ed's voiceover revealing that he is recording Jerry to prove that his reflection does not show up in recordings. As Jerry begins to attack more people throughout the neighborhood, Charlie sneaks into Jerry's house and finds out that he keeps his victims in secret rooms. Charlie goes to Las Vegas magician Pierre Vincent, a supposed expert on vampires. Pierre, however, does not take him seriously and kicks him out. Jerry comes to Charlie's house and sets fire to it. Charlie, Jane, and his girlfriend Amy Pearson flee through the desert in their minivan. Jerry catches up with them, but is wounded by Jane with a real estate sign stake. Jane is admitted to a hospital where Charlie is summoned by Peter, who recognizes the sigil from Jerry's house. Upon arriving at Peter's penthouse, they are informed that the species of vampire Jerry belongs to is cannibalistic when Ed turns up. By now, Ed has been fully transformed into a vampire, and he aids Jerry in attacking Charlie, Amy, and Peter. As they fight, Ed lets all of his anger out, and Charlie reluctantly kills him. Meanwhile, Amy shoots Jerry with silver bullets, which are rather ineffective, but then injures Jerry with holy water. They then run into a club where they get separated in the crowd. Amy is kissed and banned by Jerry, who proceeds to abduct her. Alright, now I'm going to go to the final act and ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video, go to the description box below, and fast forward to the time below. As I count down right now, if you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Pierre refuses to help Charlie and reveals that both of his parents were killed by a vampire, later revealed to be Jerry himself. He does, however, give Charlie a stake blessed by Saint Michael, that will kill Jerry and turn all of his victims back into humans. Charlie goes to Jerry's house, where Pierre decides to join him after all. They are led to Jerry's basement, where they are attacked by many of Jerry's victims, including Amy. Charlie confronts Amy, and she explains how they can be with each other forever. Just as she is about to bite Charlie, he stabs her, intentionally missing her heart, and then escaping. Meanwhile, Pierre is ambushed by Jerry and many of his victims. Pierre is able to kill a few before his weapon backfires. Charlie returns to the basement, only to see Pierre being fed on by the remaining vampires. He decides to shoot holes in the roof, from which sunlight shines in and kills them. The patch of sunlight guards both Charlie and Pierre from the vampires who had not been destroyed. Jerry appears, explaining that Charlie's quest is, in fact, over. Charlie, having outfitted himself in a flame retardant suit, has Pierre light him on fire and tackles Jerry just as Amy is feeding on him. A struggle between the two ensues while the other vampires watch. Pierre assists him by shooting another hole in the floor above to allow more sunlight in. This burns Jerry, and Pierre tosses Charlie the stake he had dropped, and Charlie quickly stabs Jerry in his visible heart, killing him and returning his victims to their human form. Afterwards, Jane recovers and goes to shop for a new house as Charlie and Amy have sex in Pierre's penthouse. End of story. So, what did I think of the Fright Night remake? Well, I do like it a little. I mean, not quite as much as I like the original, though. I mean, the original is definitely a classic, in my opinion. But this one kind of comes close, though. Now, when it was released, it actually did a little better than the original. It went on to make 41 million worldwide against its production budget of 30 million. Its reviews were pretty reasonable. It currently sits fresh at 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying it may not have been necessary to remake the 1985 cult classic, but the new Fright Night benefits from terrific performances by Colin Farrell and David Tennant, and it's smart, funny, and stylishly gory to boot. I agree, it does have some pretty good goriness, though. So anyway, yeah, if it did all right in the U.S., it made 18 million and 22 overseas. Nevertheless, I still feel it was pretty good. The Variety says that the film has a cleverly balanced mix of scares and laughs. It certainly does, just like the original has. It's scored by Ramin Djawadi. If I mispronounce that name, I do apologize. I will say that was pretty good. I mean, we may not hear as many memorable songs as we did in the original, but nevertheless, I still think it was pretty. I still thought it was pretty good. Now, as for our cast, we have the late great Anton Yelchin. This was after he recently played the um, Chekhov in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek film. Of course, you know he died at a young age, about almost 4 years, no, like almost 5 years after this was filmed. Yeah, terrible. He played Charlie, and he does a pretty good job. But I gotta give Colin Farrell credit for playing Jerry. I mean, well, I liked Chris Sarandon's Jerry a little more, but Colin Farrell's performance comes right up there with it. Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who of course was recently in Superbad and Role Models, appeared as Evil Ed. Yeah, not too bad. David Tennant, who of course, uh, who was formerly Doctor Who, and he also appeared in numerous films. I know he played Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. He played Peter Vincent. He's good. I liked his performance. I mean, he's a little more of a funnier version than what we saw with Roddy McDowall in the original. Imogen Poots, who of course recently appeared in the dull and bland Blumhouse take of Black Christmas a few years ago. Yeah. well, later on, well, she had recently appeared in 28 Weeks Later, which I haven't seen yet. I know that's sequel 28 Days Later. She's also been in some other films after that, including Need for Speed, which that would also be released by Touchstone for DreamWorks. She plays Amy Pearson. She was good. And Toni Collette played Jane Brewster, Charlie's mother. Yeah, not too bad. Now, however, Chris Sarandon actually does have a cameo appearance as a Morris killed by the vampire, although he's credited as JD after the initials of his original character. Definitely cool. D. Bradley Baker does the vocals of the vampires. And there's even singer-songwriter Lisa Loeb in this as the character Victoria Lee. Yeah, I almost didn't know she was in this, but now I know. Anyway, yeah, and Dave Franco's in this as well. But anyway, it got good reviews, praising its humor and performances, most notably Will Ferrell's performance. And yes, I have to agree. Will Ferrell did just as good a job on. Well, again, as I've said already, Chris Sarandon was a good Jerry, but Colin Farrell comes close. But anyway, but you don't have to take my word for it. You be the judge. After this, there will be a straight-to-video homage sequel titled Fright Night 2 New Blood, which was filmed in Romania. But unfortunately, it had a different cast though. Nope. None of the 2011 predecessor made an appearance. And though it was billed as a sequel, the film repeats the plot of both the original and remake. Never seen it though, and no reference is made to events in the previous film. For example, the character of Evil Dead killed in it is alive in the sequel. Well, if I happen to encounter it, I'll look into it because, well, I've never seen the Fright Night original sequel as well. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, I've read somewhere that Tom Holland's planning to do a brand new Friday Night film, which will completely ignore the original sequel. Well, so I've read. Now, I'd like to believe that. I'm sure he's gonna do it, but let's not jump to any, yet. So overall, with everything I've said, with some fun stuff, good bloody goriness, and a pretty good cast, and a pretty good soundtrack and score, and what have you, the Friday Night remake's pretty good. But would I recommend it? I'd say sure, go ahead. If you like the original, I think you'll enjoy the remake just as much. Or maybe not. You be the judge. So anyway, what did you think of Friday Night? Well, from 2011, that is. Let me know what you thought about think of this film in the comment section below. If you liked the video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of Damien Leone's All Hallows Eve. That's right, tomorrow I'm going to do a double shot of Damien Leone. I'll be reviewing that, All Hallows Eve, and then I'll be going to Terrifier. I hope you all are ready for those. But in the meantime, consider checking out my reviews for these other vampire films. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the original Fright Night from 1985. The upper right-hand corner is my review of one of the first ever vampire flicks out there, and that's the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi. Or if you'd like a little something else with Toni Collette, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my review of Hereditary from 2018. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.